Mexican authorities have been waging a deadly battle against cartels for more than a decade, but with limited success. Thousands of Mexicans, including politicians, students, and journalists, die in the conflict every year. The country had seen more than 300,000 homicides since 2006, when the government declared war on the cartels. The battle continues again in 2022. So, let's look at all the cartels that are still operating. Stay tuned till the end of this video. Before we begin, I'd like to mention there's a bunch of small groups throughout Mexico, but we'll be focusing on the top cartels making waves. Let's dive right in. Thousands of people die in Mexico's horrific war every year as powerful trafficking groups compete for territory and control. These cartels are in charge of large swaths of the country and political corruption, killings, and kidnappings. The first cartel on my list is the Sinaloa Cartel. The Sinaloa Cartel, according to the US government, is one of the world's most powerful trafficking groups. It was created in the late 1980s and was commanded for many years by notorious drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. El Chapo, commonly known as Shorty, was once one of the wealthiest men in the world. His life and huge trafficking operation have inspired several novels and television series. Under his leadership, the cartel established a reputation for brutality and vanquished numerous competing gangs. Mexican cartels regularly conflict, but it's worth noting that they may also form smart partnerships. Sinaloa became the major supplier of illegal narcotics to the United States during Guzman's long presidency. The cartel abducted, tortured, and killed members of the rival criminal groups. It also had access to a massive armament cache, including Guzman's gold-plated AK-47 and a rocket-propelled grenade launcher. However, in July 2019, the drug baron was sentenced to life in prison following one of the most high-profile cases in modern US history. Prosecutors allege Guzman used a network of drug traffickers, kidnappers, and assassins to transport cocaine, heroin, and marijuana. As a result of his confinement, there was an increase in violence in the region as other factions attempted to benefit from his detention. Despite this, the Sinaloa cartel maintains great power. It still rules over northern Mexico and is claimed to have a presence in places as far as Buenos Aires and New York. Experts say it earns billions of dollars by carrying illegal drugs to the United States, Europe, and Asia. When security agents detained the younger Guzman in October 2019, Sinaloa cartel gunmen swiftly revealed the group's true military strength. They engaged in street confrontations with the army in broad daylight, set fire to cars, and even staged a jailbreak before their commander was finally liberated. It demonstrated that the organization remained a strong force. The next is the Tijuana Cartel, Arellano Felix organization. The Tijuana Cartel, founded by the Arellano Felix family and once a powerful player in Mexico's narcotics trade, has lost control of the smuggling, extortion, and kidnapping racket in Tijuana's strategic northwestern border town. Since the arrests and assassinations of the organization's 5 brothers, Enedina Arellano Felix presently controls it. Former cartel leaders Benjamin Carlos, Eduardo, Francisco Javier, Francisco Rafael, and Ramon are Enedina's siblings. Luis Fernando Sanchez Arellano, Alicia's son, was apprehended in 2014. Following the arrest of the last surviving brother, Eduardo Arellano Felix, in 2008, the cartel was split into 2 factions, one allied with Sinaloa, the clan's longtime adversary, and the other with the Zetas. A severe round of infighting ensued after the head of the one faction, Eduardo Chedoro Garcia Cimental, was imprisoned in January 2010. The group's authority continued to erode, and it suffered another blow in November 2011 when its senior enforcer, Juan Francisco Cias Rocha, was apprehended. Francisco Rafael Arellano Felix, the eldest brother of the Arellano Felix family, was slain by a shooter dressed as a clown in October 2013. The Tijuana cartel has been reduced to a few cells after the 2006 Sinaloa cartel assault in Baja California and the fall of the Arellano Felix brothers. In 2016, the group renamed itself Cartel Tijuana Nueva Generación, New Generation Tijuana Cartel, and allied with the Jalisco New Generation Cartel and the Beltran Leyva Organization, or BLO, to form an anti-Sinaloa alliance, which the Jalisco New Generation Cartel leads. This alliance has subsequently disintegrated, with the Tijuana Cartel, Jalisco New Generation Cartel, and Sinaloa Cartel all vying for trafficking power in Tijuana and the Baja California region. The next is the Jalisco New Generation, or CJNG. Jalisco New Generation is another cartel that will continue to operate this year. Their land is largely in the west, in the Tierra Caliente region. Sinaloa's most powerful and violent adversary is the Jalisco Cartel, which was created in 2010. The organization has quickly spread throughout Mexico and is now one of the country's most powerful organized criminal gangs. Its assets are believed to be valued at more than $20 billion or 15.5 billion euros. The cartel is led by Ruben Oseguera, better known as El Mencho, a former officer and Mexico's most wanted criminal. Is there a prize for capturing him? A cool $10 million. According to US officials, the Jalisco Cartel is one of the continent's largest traffickers of synthetic medications. It's a key participant in the illicit amphetamine market in the United States and Europe, linked to the Asian drug trade. It has grown significantly more powerful in recent years, and its use of extreme violence has fostered its rise. Stratfor, a geopolitical intelligence firm located in the United States, claims that it's still the most active cartel in Mexico. The continuing spike in violence in Tijuana, Juarez, Guanajuato, and Mexico City is due in part to its efforts to broaden its control area. Indeed, the cartel has regained notoriety due to a series of attacks on security agents and government officials, and it remains active. To intimidate its opponents, this gang has shot down an army helicopter with a rocket-propelled grenade, murdered hundreds of state officials, and even hanged the bodies of its victims from bridges. It's set to expand more, according to specialists in the region. Another cartel still in operation is the Guerreros Unidos. The Guerreros Unidos, based in central Mexico, are a splinter faction of the Beltran Leyva organization. Extortion and kidnapping are the organization's major goals, although it also transfers drugs to the United States. The Guerreros Unidos are known for their aggressive methods and use of severe violence, which have drawn the attention of security services and pose a long-term threat to the group's survival. Following the death of BLO leader Arturo Beltran Leyva in 2009, at least 7 offshoot groups emerged, including the Guerreros Unidos. Mario Casarrubias Salgado, alias El Sapo Guapo, a member of the BLO security team, and Cleotilde Toribio Renteria, alias El Tilde, a member of BLO operative Edgar Valdez Villarreal, alias La Barbie, created the group with the help of many former BLO bodyguards. In December 2011, the Guerreros Unidos made their first public appearance, claiming responsibility for a triple homicide in Morelos. The Guerreros Unidos carried out many high-profile attacks during the next year, including a wave of the attacks on bars in Morelos that left 5 people dead and 15 injured. In December 2012, the gang sent hitmen dressed as doctors to kill the leader of rival BLO splinter group, Los Rojos, in a hospital in Mexico City, where he was recovering from a previous assassination attempt. Security measures against the Guerreros Unidos were stepped up following a September 2014 attack on student demonstrators in Iguala, Guerrero, which was blamed on the group. According to Mexican authorities, local police detained 43 students. According to the official story, they gave them over to the Guerreros Unidos. They proceeded to murder the students and burn their remains in what became known as the Ayotzinapa Massacre. Following the students' abduction, the federal government launched additional operations against the gang, which resulted in the detention of El Sapo Guapo's brother, Sidronio Casarrubias Salgado, alias El Chino, as well as other high-ranking agents. In October 2014, one of the suspected leaders, Benjamin Mondragon Pereda, alias El Benjamon, shot himself after being besieged by police. According to Mexico's Attorney General's office, Guerreros Unidos had a hierarchical leadership structure, with members getting orders directly from their superiors. The next is the Northeast Cartel. The Northeast Cartel was founded by former members of the violent Zetas Cartel. This new Mexican cartel is attempting to reclaim control of Coahuila. In 2019, this cartel was responsible for the worst shootings in the little community of Villa Union. 17 criminals, 2 bystanders, and 4 police officers were killed in the end. Juan Gerardo Treviño Chavez, often known as Huevo, is the cartel's leader. His uncle, former Los Zetas cartel commander Miguel Angel Treviño Morales, is known as the Z40. Los Zetas was formed in 1997, according to the Defense Ministry, Sedena Archives, when the Mexican and US governments agreed to include military officers in the fight against drug trafficking along the Mexican-US border in the state of Tamaulipas. The Sedena sent some officials with specific training to act as civilians in the Federal Judicial Police for this reason. This organization was in charge of fighting drug trafficking during the time, but it was rife with corruption. Arturo Guzman de Sena, captained the team, which was dubbed Zeta. A few months into the operation, the soldiers betrayed the army and joined the Gulf Cartel as a drug lord's bodyguard. In this fashion, drug lord Osiel Cardenas Guillen employed the Los Zetas as an armed wing to seize areas outside of Tamaulipas, like as Piedras Negras in Coahuila. Former military fled the cartel in 2010 and started their own organization. Miguel Angel Trevino Morales was apprehended. His brother, Omar Trevino, was also known as Z42, took over. But in March 2015, he was imprisoned. The lead was then taken by Francisco Kiko Trevino Chavez. Trevino called the cartel the Northeast Cartel and led the criminal organization until the DEA caught him in Houston in September 2016. Northeast Cartel is primarily active in Tamaulipas, which is located near the United States and is one of Mexico's most violent states. It also operates in the state of Nuevo Leon, where Monterrey, one of the wealthiest cities in the country, is located. This cartel controls Nuevo Laredo in Tamaulipas and is feuding with the Gulf Cartel, the old school Zetas, Zetas Vieja Escuela, and the Jalisco New Generation Cartel for control of other territories. The next is Nueva Plaza Cartel. The Nueva Plaza Cartel was created in 2018 as a split from the CJNG. They're at odds over El Salto, Chapala, Juanacatlan, Poncitlan, Tlajomulco de Zúñiga, and Ixtlahuacuan de los Membrillos. El Cholo departed from CJNG after being accused of treason following the killing of El Colombiano, the criminal organization's primary financial figure. Carlos Enrique Sanchez, El Cholo, and Eric Valencia, El85, one of the CJNG's founders, were initially in the leadership of the gang, which had reportedly been betrayed. According to sources, the gang is at odds with the cities of Zapopan, Tonala, Tlajomulco de Zúñiga, and Tlaquepaque, which served as hubs for both cartels as well as money from the Sinaloa cartel. El Cholo referenced putative cooperation with Omar Garcia Harfuch to oppose the CJNG in a video broadcast before his death, as well as being awarded the Tonala massacre. The group is also well known for meddling with police enforcement. Following El Mencho's failed coup against El Cholo, the Cartel Nuevo retaliated by assassinating the captain of the CJNG assault team. The group was also linked to the murders of citizens and inmates buried in secret graves in the towns of Tlajomulco de Zúñiga and Zapopan. On March 18, 2021, the CJNG killed El Cholo, but not before questioning him, which was recorded, claiming responsibility for the wave of violence that rocked Jalisco over those weeks. El Cholo's body was discovered abandoned in a Tlaquepaque public area with a drug message slashed into his abdomen with a knife. Several media outlets perceived the body's abandonment in a public location as proof of the area's ungovernability. According to forensics, El Cholo had both legs fractured at the tibia and kneecap level, as well as marks from electric tweezers. His eyeballs were extracted, and he had different injuries throughout his body, including 3 gunshot wounds to the brain. After El Cholo's death, his replacement, Eric Valencia Salazar, El85, leads the cartel in a low-key way. This cartel is still operational and in business. There you have it, the list of the top cartels in 2022. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned.